So you take an herb and it doesn't work. What is going on? Well, this used to be me. I grew up really interested in herbalism, and I would like pretend in my backyard that I was like mixing plants up. And I had this herb book that I would read, and over the years I tried to use herbs for my overall health and well-being, but every time I did that, it never worked. And so I just kind of felt a little bit betrayed almost, or like herbalism was a sham. Even though herbs have been used in America like up until the 1800s and are still used throughout the world to help people heal and feel better. So I was like, what is going on? And I just put herbalism aside for many years until about 5 years ago, I had this dream where so you take an herb and it naked in a garden, like frolicking, looking at all the plants, feeling the sun on my skin, completely in the moment, like naked as a newborn baby in a garden and just having so much fun. And my coworkers started showing up and they kind of kept like inferring that, hey, you're naked, like maybe you should put some clothes on. And I finally just got frustrated and I was like, oh my gosh, they can't appreciate how amazing it feels. I'll just go upstairs and put clothes on. So I went upstairs to my bedroom, and when I opened up my bedroom door, there was an old woman sitting in a wooden chair sipping some tea. And she looks at me and she says, you can't learn everything about herbs from a book. And it was instantly, I just felt so relaxed. I actually lay down on the floor next to her and fell asleep. And when I woke up from that dream, I knew that I had to find an in-person herb class and that herbalism still had something to share with me. And so then I did. I found an in-person herb class and I signed up, and it was like within the first 2 weeks, I knew exactly what I had been doing wrong with herbs. And now I would like to share with you exactly what was going on. So in this herb class, we learned like constitution of the person, energetics of people, energetics of plants, tissue states, like the whole gamut. And quite frankly, it can be very overwhelming at the beginning. But what I realized were two things. The first being that you've got to match the energetics of the plant with the energetics of the person, which I'll explain in a second. And the second thing was that no matter how many herbs you take, even if they are energetically matched to you, it might not make a lick of difference if you're not first supporting the pillars of your health. So, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. Why did no one tell me this before? So to talk about energetics in a way that is like very easy, because really energetics is just hot and cold and wet and dry. And there's like two more energetics, but we'll just do those four to start out with. I mean, everybody knows what hot is. Everyone knows what cold is, right? So it's nothing crazy and it's not woo-woo at all, even though energetics kind of sounds like that. And then everyone knows what wet feels like. Everyone knows what dry feels like. So how do you tell if you're hot or cold, wet and dry in your body? Well, let's say it's very easy, right? Because if you're hot, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I need to like have a cold drink. I need to like get in the shade. Like I'm sweating. My face is red. There's like a lot of blood flow happening in your body, very hot. And an herb, heat might look like a chili pepper, where you take a bite of the chili pepper and you're like, wah! Like immediately you start sweating, your face gets red. It's like that same reaction. So it makes the heat of the chili pepper creates heat in your body. And then the opposite of that is cold. So cold would be like shivering, like if it's a really cold day, you just want to like bundle up and cozy up inside and like not move very much. And there's actually like, you feel cold, your hands and your feet. An example of like a cold food that everyone's familiar with is like ice cream or an iced drink. So like when you're feeling cold, like the last thing you're probably going to reach for is a cup of like ice cold water, right? You want to like warm up. So that's like a very simple way of using energetics for your own being. And it doesn't always have to be an herb. You can also use the concept of energetics, like in your day-to-day life. So for example, like being really cold, okay, I'm not going to have a cold drink. I'm going to have like warm tea to warm up. Common sense, right? That's why people have chili a lot of times in the winter. And then to briefly explain wet and dry, everybody knows like what dry feels like. Your skin kind of like feels stretched out. You're thirsty. You just want to drink water. You're like begging for moisture. And then wetness is the opposite, where you might have like a lot of mucus happening. Things feel very like heavy, watery inside. And so like if that's the case, like you're not going to want to be like live in a really humid environment. Your body is going to naturally want to crave drier environments like the desert to help balance out what's going on energetically inside your body, right? Like you're getting it now. And so this is like very important in a lot of herbal traditions, is that you have this vital life force inside of your body. It goes by various names. And this vital life force is very intelligent, believe it or not. And it knows exactly what to do to help balance your body out. But we start to get into a bit of trouble when we work. So it's like trying to balance your body out when we work against it by doing like the trendy supplement or the trendy herb that everyone says, yeah, let's do that. It might make your what you're experiencing worse. So an example of this is turmeric. Everyone's like, turmeric is great for inflammation, and it can be. But if you're already a really dry person and turmeric is a really dry herb, if you do dry and dry, like coming together, you're just going to get even more dry. And that can create even more inflammation in your body. It's like not only is the herb not working at this point, but it's also causing more harm than good. And that gets into the second thing that I learned in herb class that I'm like, why has no one told me this before? And that is the pillars of your health. This is going to be a little bit boring because everybody knows you need to get sleep, you need to eat good food, you need to stay hydrated, you need to move. Like everybody knows these things, right? And yet we don't do them. And instead of addressing like these pillars that help support your life force to balance your body out, we do terrible things like staying up too late, eating too much sugar, stressing all the time, very easy to do, not moving, like sitting down all the time. And then we wonder like why we don't feel good. It's because we were not like supporting our vital life force by doing these very basic things that all humans need. And a really interesting fifth pillar that I learned in herb class was a sense of fulfillment and purpose in life. And at first I was like, that is not a pillar I've ever heard about. Like, how does that have to do with your basic health? But then the more I learned about what this pillar meant, the more I was like, oh my gosh. So that's why, like, back in the day, I couldn't stop eating sugar. Like, I knew my diet pillar was weak because I was eating all the sugar, but I couldn't stop because the real pillar that was affecting my overall health was a sense of fulfillment. I wasn't having the fulfillment that I needed in life. And I finally realized, like, oh, that's why the herbs aren't working. The herbs can support you in these lifestyle pillars. The herbs can support you in achieving health. It can like move with your vital life force to like help it along and encourage it. Absolutely. Plants, they want to be our guides and to help us like so bad. The ones that have made themselves known, right? So by all means, like plants can be a vital part of your overall well-being. However, make sure that when you use a plant, don't just use whatever trendy plant is going around on the internet or on TV. Make sure that you're picking out a plant that's going to actually help you along, so energetically matches, and that the plant is going to help you with supporting your pillars of health as well. So I hope that was illuminating for you and that you got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. And until next time,